The day of humanity's departure arrived. Council ships maintained their positions around human space but kept their weapons powered down as agreed. Admiral Talorn watched from the bridge of her flagship, her eyes fixed on the massive Exodus arcs surrounding Earth. "How many humans remain on the planet?" she asked her sensor officer. "Approximately 3 billion, Admiral," the officer replied. "Most have already boarded the arcs, but these appear to have chosen to stay behind until the end." Talorn clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. The humans were being very methodical about their departure. The arcs had been filled in a careful order, with essential personnel going first, followed by civilians in organized groups. Everything spoke of long, detailed planning. On Earth, Ambassador Chen stood in the garden of what had once been the human government's headquarters. Around her, the remaining buildings of the once great city stood empty. The streets were quiet. Most of the city had been dismantled, its materials used to build or supply the arcs. Dr. Okafor approached her with a data pad. "The final checks are complete, Ambassador. All 300 arcs report ready status. Earth itself is prepared for transition." Chen nodded. "And the people?" "Those who chose to remain planetside until the end are in position. The global psychic network is online and stable." Chen raised an eyebrow. "The Council still doesn't know about that, do they?" Okafor smiled. "No. We've kept our more unusual abilities hidden. They've always been so focused on our physical technology that they never thought to look for developments of consciousness. Perhaps that was the fundamental difference between us," Chen mused. "They sought to master the physical world. We learned that consciousness itself was the true frontier." She looked up at the sky where the arcs could be seen even in daylight. "Begin the final countdown. Earth leads the way." Aboard the Council flagship, alarms suddenly blared. The sensor officer's eyes widened. "Admiral, energy readings from Earth are spiking beyond anything we've ever recorded." "What are they doing?" Talorn demanded. Before anyone could answer, communication came in from High Counselor Zerix, who was watching from the Council homeworld. "Admiral, do not interfere. I repeat, do not interfere no matter what you see." "But Counselor..." "That's an order, Admiral," Zerix said firmly. "We've underestimated the humans at every turn. I will not have us make one final mistake." Just as Talorn reluctantly acknowledged the order, something impossible happened. The entire Council fleet felt a strange wave of mental energy wash over them. Every crew member on every ship suddenly felt dizzy and disoriented. "What was that?" gasped Talorn when she could think clearly again. "Some kind of psychic broadcast," said her science officer in disbelief. "It affected every species in our fleet simultaneously." "The humans have psychic abilities," Talorn whispered, shocked by this revelation. In that moment of confusion, while the Council fleet was temporarily stunned, Earth itself began to change. The blue-green planet started to shimmer like a mirage in the desert heat. The effect spread across the entire planet and its moon, making both celestial bodies appear to vibrate between states of existence. "Recording everything," shouted the science officer as the crew watched in stunned silence. Earth and its moon seemed to slide sideways in a way that hurt the eyes to watch. There was no explosion, no dramatic flash of light, simply a gentle ripple in space-time. And then Earth and its moon were gone. Where they had been was now simply empty space. They moved the entire planet," breathed Talorn in awe. In rapid succession, the Exodus arcs began to follow the same process. One by one, they shimmered, rippled, and slid out of reality. Each massive vessel carrying 10 million humans vanished from this universe. The process continued across all human colonies. Planets, moons, and arcs disappeared in a carefully choreographed sequence that had clearly been planned for decades. Within 6 hours, the last traces of human presence in the galaxy were gone. 300 Exodus arcs, Earth itself, and all. 12 colony worlds had departed this universe for whatever new reality humanity had chosen as their home. The Council fleet remained in position, sensors recording everything. There were no signs of damage to the fabric of space-time, no evidence of dimensional instability. The humans had done exactly what they claimed they could do, with a precision that spoke of complete mastery of their technology. News spread quickly across the galaxy. Most council species reacted with a mixture of relief and concern. Some celebrated being rid of the unpredictable humans. Others worried about what it meant that a species could simply leave the universe itself. In an emergency session, the council debated the implications. Admiral Talorn presented the recordings of Earth's departure. As you can see, she concluded, the departure caused no damage to surrounding space. Their technology worked exactly as they claimed it would. And the psychic broadcast? Asked the council leader. What do we know about that? Talorn hesitated. Our best analysis suggests it was a unified mental projection from billions of humans working together. It appears they had developed collective consciousness capabilities that they never revealed to us. High Counselor Zrix nodded slowly. Another technology they kept hidden. I suspect there were many more we never discovered. Could we follow them? Asked a young council member. Could we develop similar technology and find where they've gone? Zrix's compound eyes seemed to dim slightly. Perhaps in time, but I suspect it would take us thousands of years to reach their level of understanding. The humans weren't exaggerating when they said they had outgrown us. The council leader looked troubled. Then it's over. Humanity has left our universe and we may never see them again. That may be for the best, said Zrix quietly. They clearly sought a different path than any council species has ever chosen. Perhaps, in another 1,000,000 years when we've evolved enough to understand them, we may meet again. As the council session ended, Admiral Talorn approached Zrix privately. Counselor, there's something that still bothers me. Why didn't they ever use their technology against us? With what they possessed, they could have forced the council to accept them centuries ago. Zrix's many-faceted eyes studied her for a moment. That, Admiral, may be the most important lesson humanity has left us. True advancement isn't measured by conquest or control, but by the wisdom to know when to walk away. He gazed out at the stars visible through the council chambers. Crystal dome. We treated them as lesser beings for centuries, took their discoveries, used their inventions, and still denied them equality. And in response, they didn't fight or seek revenge. They simply found a better path forward. Talorn considered this. Do you think they'll ever return? I don't know, admitted Zrix, but if they do, I hope we will have grown wise enough to treat them as equals. Aliens ordered Earth to yield. Humans just laughed on two. Underestimation, Supreme Commander Zoltan stood before the War Council aboard the flagship. 6 high-ranking officers of different alien species watched his report with expressions ranging from disbelief to anger. The humans refused our standard surrender terms, Zoltan explained. They responded with laughter. Admiral Cruel, a tall reptilian being, hissed in annoyance. Impossible. No species laughs when faced with extinction. These humans do, Zoltan replied. Our psychology experts are still analyzing why. It doesn't matter why, said General Vex, slamming a clawed hand on the table. Begin the attack. They'll stop laughing when their cities fall. The attack plan was simple and had worked on 16,000 worlds before. The hegemony would target military bases first, then communication centers, followed by government buildings. Within hours, most planets surrendered. The battle computers predict victory in under 6 Earth hours, the tactical officer reported. Zoltan nodded. Begin the attack. Sarah Chen was driving her tractor across her Nebraska farm when the alien ships appeared overhead. Unlike most people who panicked or stared in wonder, Sarah had immediately gone to her barn and opened a hidden cellar door. Inside was not food or supplies, but technology. Sarah wasn't just a farmer. She was also a retired military engineer. And she had been preparing for this day ever since a small alien scout ship had crashed on her property 20 years ago. Now she hooked up strange-looking devices to her tractor. Her neighbors Tom and Rosa arrived minutes later in their pickup trucks. Is it time? Tom asked simply. Sarah nodded. They're here. Get the equipment running. Within an hour, 30 farm vehicles across Nebraska had been converted into something the aliens would never expect. In Seoul, South Korea, Jinho wasn't supposed to be home. The 16-year-old should have been in school, but had stayed home with a fake cold to play the new VR game he'd bought. When the emergency broadcast started, Jin-Ho didn't panic. Instead, he noticed something strange in his game's communication system, unusual signals that didn't belong. Being the son of two computer scientists, Jin-Ho recognized the pattern. The aliens were using frequencies similar to his game system. "Mom," he called his mother, who worked at the National Intelligence Service. "I think I found something about the aliens' communication system." By evening, Jin-Ho was working with a team of government hackers, his gaming console now connected to military computers. The first wave of alien attacks came exactly as Zoltan had planned. Small fighter ships descended toward Earth's military bases. Their weapons were charged, ready to disable Earth's defenses with surgical precision. But something strange happened. In North America, the alien ships approaching military installations suddenly lost power. They dropped from the sky like stones, crashing into empty fields. Sarah Chen and her farmer neighbors watched from their tractors, which were now emitting a signal that disrupted the alien technology. "It worked," Rosa shouted, jumping up and down beside her modified harvester. The reverse engineering worked. In Asia, alien communication systems began failing. Their encrypted messages were being intercepted and scrambled by what their technicians could only describe as primitive gaming protocols. Jin-Ho grinned as he watched the confusion spread across the alien fleet's communication network. "Their system architecture isn't that different from MMORPGs," he explained to the amazed military officers. They never expected anyone to hack them using a game console. When the hegemony tried to establish a ground base in New Zealand, they encountered another surprise. Their landing party, equipped with advanced mechanized battlesuits, was met not by soldiers but by a group of men and women in shorts and jerseys. "What are these humans doing?" asked the alien commander, as the group of muscular humans formed a wedge formation and charged toward them. "I believe it's called a rugby scrum," his science officer replied, just before the first All Blacks rugby players slammed into the alien line. The battlesuits, designed for standard combat, had never been tested against the pure physical force of professional rugby players working as one unit. Suits toppled, systems malfunctioned, and aliens found themselves pinned to the ground by humans who seemed to enjoy the physical contact. "Are they laughing?" an alien soldier asked in disbelief as a grinning Maori warrior performed a haka dance over his fallen comrade. Back on the flagship, Zoltan received the reports with growing concern. 30% of our first wave has been neutralized," his tactical officer reported. "And we're getting strange reports from the ground forces." "Define strange," Zoltan demanded. "The humans are—" The officer hesitated. "Laughing during combat. They're treating this as some sort of game or sport. Our psychological warfare experts say this is having a negative effect on our troops' morale." Admiral Cruel slammed his fist on the console. "Impossible. Our forces outnumber them. Our technology is superior." "Yes," agreed Zoltan, "but they're fighting in ways we've never seen before. The battle computers can't predict their strategies because they don't follow any logical pattern." General Vex, who had been reviewing the combat footage, looked up with concern. "They're not just fighting illogically, they're enjoying it. Look at their faces." The screen showed humans around the world responding to the invasion in unexpected ways. Grandmothers in China were teaching young hackers ancient codes that somehow confused alien targeting systems. Children in Brazil had turned the detection of alien movements into a community game, with prizes for spotting ships. And everywhere, humans were laughing. Not from humor, but from a deep, defiant joy and resistance. "Pull back the remaining forces," Zoltan ordered. "We need to reconsider our approach." As the alien ships retreated to higher orbit, celebrations broke out across Earth. Humanity had won the first round, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. In her Nebraska farm, Sarah Chen looked up at the stars. "They'll be back," she said to her neighbors, "and they'll be angry." Tom nodded. "But now they know we won't just lie down and take it." Rosa smiled, patting the modified tractor that had helped bring down alien fighters. "And we've only just started showing them what humans can do when backed into a corner." Aboard the flagship, Zoltan began studying human history in detail, looking for some way to understand this strange species that laughed in the face of superior force. What he found disturbed him deeply. Humans hadn't just survived natural disasters and their own violent tendencies. They had emerged stronger from every catastrophe. They had built civilizations in deserts, Arctic wastes, and deep jungles. They had fought thousands of wars against each other and still developed art, music, and science. Most concerning of all, they had imagined alien invasions like this one countless times in their entertainment. They had been mentally preparing for this moment for generations. What kind of species, Zoltan wondered aloud, prepares for threats that don't even exist yet? A dangerous one, he realized. Far more dangerous than the hegemony had ever imagined. Impossible! Admiral Cruel's tail lashed back and forth as he paced the war room. How can they resist our forces? Their technology is primitive. Their weapons are ineffective against our shields. Supreme Commander Zoltan had spent 3 Earth days studying human history, and what he discovered had kept him awake for most of that time. We have made a serious mistake, Zoltan said quietly, bringing up images on the main screen. Look at this. Humans call it World War II. They killed millions of their own kind. And this, their Cold War, where they built enough nuclear weapons to destroy their entire planet multiple times. General Vex leaned forward. So they're violent. We knew this already. No, Zoltan said. You don't understand. We thought we were bringing war to a peaceful species. But humans have been at war with each other for their entire history. They haven't known peace for more than a few decades at a time. The alien leaders stared at the images of human conflicts throughout history. War isn't new to them, Zoltan continued. It's their natural state. And each conflict has pushed them to develop new technologies, new strategies. The tactical officer spoke up. Commander, our strategic AI is having difficulty predicting human behavior. They often act contrary to logical self-interest. Exactly, Zoltan nodded. And that makes them dangerous in ways we never anticipated. Around the world, humans were discovering their greatest advantage against the alien invasion: creativity. In a warehouse in Tokyo, Dr. Himari Tanaka gathered an unusual team: engineers, artists, and chefs. The aliens' sensors detect heat, movement, and certain electromagnetic frequencies, she explained, pointing to diagrams on a digital board. But they have weaknesses. Their visual system doesn't process images the same way we do. Kenji, a sushi chef, raised his hand. That's why you wanted to know about food dyes and temperature changes in cooking? Dr. Tanaka smiled. Exactly. We're going to create decoys that fool their sensors. Your knowledge of how materials change under different conditions is exactly what we need. Across the room, movie special effects artists were already building prototypes that mimicked human heat signatures, but could be deployed anywhere. In London, 13-year-old Emma sat in her bedroom, surrounded by toy robots she had built from kits. Since the invasion began, she'd noticed that her radio-controlled toys seemed to interfere with alien communications whenever their ships flew overhead. Dad, she called to her father, who worked as a telecommunications engineer. I think there's something about the frequency my toys use. Her father examined the circuit boards of her favorite robot dog. Emma, this is brilliant, he said, eyes widening. The frequency pattern is creating a kind of static in their systems. If we could amplify this. Within days, toy manufacturers around the world were modifying their products based on Emma's discovery. Children's toys became Earth's secret communication network, completely invisible to alien monitoring. In Brazil, Maria Oliveira had been a gardener all her life. Now, at 78, she found herself teaching young soldiers how to hide military equipment using natural camouflage techniques she'd learned from her grandmother. Plants don't just sit there looking pretty, she told the amazed troops. They communicate. They adapt. They survive despite being eaten every day. We need to learn from them. Under Maria's guidance, resistance fighters buried their equipment in special soil mixtures that blocked alien scans. They used patterns of native plants to hide entrances to underground bunkers. My grandmother hid our family from the dictatorship's soldiers 60 years ago using these same techniques, Maria explained. Humans have always needed to hide from powerful enemies. Aboard the Hegemony flagship, Zoltan received more disturbing reports. Commander, we've intercepted their entertainment broadcasts, an intelligence officer reported. You need to see this. On screen appeared images from human movies, TV shows, and video games, all showing alien invasions. Some from decades ago, others more recent, all imagining different ways that aliens might attack Earth and how humans might fight back. They've been preparing for us in their imagination for over a century, the officer said. Their fiction has considered nearly every strategy we might use. Zoltan watched clips from movies showing aliens defeated by computer viruses, bacteria, water, and even the power of human emotions. A species that imagines such scenarios for entertainment, Zoltan said slowly, cannot be reasoned with through fear. They've already faced their fears in their minds countless times. Dr. Aisha Kion's laboratory in Kenya had been working non-stop since the invasion began. The alien metal fragments she'd been studying for years were finally revealing their secrets. The molecular structure shifts under certain sound frequencies, she explained to the international team that had gathered in her lab. That's why their ships sometimes falter when passing over areas with loud music. A physicist from India leaned forward. So sound is one of their weaknesses. Specific patterns of sound, Dr. Kion clarified, and not just any sound, music with particular rhythm patterns. A musician from Argentina who had joined the research team grinned. So we can literally make them dance to our tune? Dr. Keone laughed. In a manner of speaking, yes. Their technology resonates with certain beats, especially those found in human dance music. Within hours, the biggest weakness of the Hegemony's advanced technology had been discovered not by weapons experts, but by a collaboration between scientists and artists. The human advantage was becoming clear. While the aliens had superior technology, humans adapted and improvised. The Hegemony relied on AI predictions and established protocols. Humans threw away the rulebook entirely. When the aliens attempted to jam Earth's communications, ham radio operators worldwide created a new network overnight. When alien scanners searched for electronic devices, people reverted to mechanical systems their grandparents had used, and most surprisingly to the aliens, humans shared their discoveries freely. A breakthrough in Australia would be implemented in Europe within hours. A child's insight in Peru would change defense strategies in Japan by the next day. In his private quarters, Zoltan reviewed the latest human counterattacks with growing concern. Their resistance hadn't weakened, it had grown stronger and more organized. More troubling was the discovery his science team had just confirmed. The rare mineral the Hegemony depended on for their hyperdrive systems. The very reason they had come to Earth was something humans had been using in smartphone manufacturing for years. They've been casually using one of the rarest elements in the galaxy to play games and send messages, his science officer reported with disbelief. Zoltan stared at the report. For the first time in his career, he considered the unthinkable. The Hegemony might have to negotiate rather than conquer. Prepare a new message to their leaders, he ordered. Perhaps we've been hasty in our approach. As the message was being drafted, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Human hackers had broken through their security systems, and they had done it using code hidden inside a children's cartoon. Zoltan shook his head in amazement. The Bee, species that laughed in the face of extinction, might just prove to be the most formidable the Hegemony had ever encountered. 2 weeks after the invasion began, the Galactic Hegemony changed tactics. Their military approach had failed against the unpredictable humans. Now they would try psychological warfare, a strategy that had broken the will of many species before. Begin the broadcasts, Supreme Commander Zoltan ordered. Show them their true place in the cosmos. Across Earth, regular transmissions were interrupted. Television screens, computer monitors, and even digital billboards displayed the same message. Images of the vastness of space, countless stars, And thousands of alien worlds already under hegemony control. A voice narrated in every human language. Look upon the greatness of the galaxy. Your world is but a tiny speck, insignificant and alone. Your civilization is young and primitive. 16,000 worlds have already accepted our rule. Why do you resist what is inevitable? The images showed Earth as a small blue dot, easily overlooked in the cosmic landscape. The hegemony's psychological warfare experts had carefully designed these messages to create feelings of smallness, hopelessness, and eventually submission. It had worked on countless worlds before, but not on Earth. Within hours, something unexpected happened. The image of Commander Zoltan from the broadcasts appeared on social media, but now wearing sunglasses and a Hawaiian shirt. Captions like, "Space Karen wants to speak to Earth's manager, and when you travel light years but can't even," spread across the internet. The memes multiplied faster than the aliens could track them. Zoltan's serious face was photoshopped onto dance videos. His threats were remixed with catchy music. His image appeared on t-shirts being sold to raise money for Earth's defense. "What are they doing?" Zoltan demanded when shown the altered images of himself. This is psychological warfare. They should be feeling fear and despair, not whatever this is. His cultural expert, an alien who had spent years studying human behavior, looked uncomfortable. "Sir, they're using humor as a defense mechanism. By making you into what they call a meme, they're reducing the psychological impact of our threats. But they can't just ignore the reality of their situation." Zoltan slammed his hand on the console. "We could destroy their planet." "Yes, sir," the expert replied. "But humans have lived with that possibility for generations. Many of their own weapons could destroy their civilization. They've already faced this fear and found ways to cope with it. When the hegemony broadcast their supreme leader's speech, a being so ancient and powerful that most subjugated worlds viewed it with religious awe, the transmission was somehow interrupted by videos of cats knocking things off tables. The hegemony's communication officers were baffled. Their systems should have been unbreakable. "How did they override our transmission?" General Vex demanded. A junior officer cleared his throat nervously. "They didn't exactly override it, sir. They hijacked it using something called TikTok filters." The general's eyes narrowed. "What is a TikTok filter?" "It appears to be some form of entertainment technology. Teenagers use it to add effects to videos." "Teenagers?" The general's voice rose in disbelief. "Our unbreakable communication system was hacked by children?" The officer nodded miserably. "Yes, sir, and they've turned the supreme leader into something called a dance challenge." In her laboratory in Kenya, Dr. Aisha Kayoni made another breakthrough. Working with the strange alien metal fragments, her team discovered how the hegemony's shield technology functioned. "It's not just sound that affects it," she explained to the Global Defense Council over a secure video link. "It's emotion." General Martinez from the United States looked skeptical. "Emotion? How can technology respond to emotions?" "The aliens have developed technology that responds to brainwave patterns," Dr. Keown explained. "We believe it's how they control their ships, through a form of mental interface. But this means their shields are also affected by strong emotional states." Emma, the 13-year-old whose toy discoveries had already helped Earth's defense, had been invited to join the council as a special advisor. She raised her hand. "Is that why their ships sometimes wobble when flying over sports stadiums or concert venues?" Dr. Kyone smiled at the young girl. "Exactly. Strong collective emotions, like the joy at a concert or the excitement at a sports match, create interference patterns in their shield harmonics." The Defense Council looked at each other in amazement. Earth had stumbled upon a defense strategy no other world had discovered, the power of human emotion itself. In his private quarters, Zoltan reviewed the latest reports with growing concern. The humans weren't breaking under psychological pressure, they were thriving on it. Their resistance had become a global movement, uniting former enemies and bringing out creativity the hegemony had never seen in any species. More concerning was what Earth's scientists were discovering. In just weeks, humans had begun to understand hegemony technology that had taken other civilizations centuries to develop. They adapt too quickly, Zoltan murmured to himself. It's as if they enjoy the challenge. His personal computer chimed with an urgent message. Earth's defense forces had managed to capture an intact alien fighter ship and were already reverse engineering its technology. But the truly shocking news came from the resource survey team. Earth contained the largest deposit of the rare mineral, Zenithium, that the hegemony had ever encountered, and humans had been using it in their electronic devices for years, unaware of its value to spacefaring civilizations. Zenithium was essential for faster-than-light travel. The hegemony's entire empire depended on it, and their supplies were dwindling. Earth wasn't just another conquest. It was potentially the most valuable planet they had ever found, and its inhabitants refused to yield. Around the world, humans continued to find unexpected ways to resist. Grandmothers in Russia organized knitting circles that were actually coding encrypted messages. Children in Mexico created playground games that tracked alien ship movements. Farmers in India discovered that certain crop patterns confused alien scanners. When the hegemony launched what they called their final warning, a demonstration of power that vaporized an uninhabited island, humanity responded not with fear, but with determination. "You missed," was the official response from Earth's United Defense Council. In orbit, alien officers watched in disbelief as humans turned what should have been a terrifying show of force into jokes. Internet memes showed aliens with poor aim. T-shirts appeared with the slogan, "That all you got?" They find humor in the face of annihilation, Zoltan said to his officers. How do you defeat an enemy that laughs at its own potential destruction? For the first time in 10,000 years, the galactic hegemony faced a choice they had never considered: retreat, or find a way to negotiate with a species that refused to be intimidated. "Prepare a new communication," Zoltan finally ordered, "one without threats. Perhaps we need to understand these humans better before we decide their fate." What the commander didn't know was that Earth had already prepared its own unexpected response, one that would take the conflict in a direction no one, human or alien, had anticipated. 3 weeks into the invasion, Earth did something that shocked the galactic hegemony. Instead of continuing their defensive strategy, humans launched a counteroffensive, but not with warships or weapons. They sent diplomats. A small, unarmed shuttle left Earth's atmosphere carrying representatives from every continent. Their message was simple: Earth was willing to negotiate, but not as subjects, as equals. "This must be a trick," Admiral Cruel insisted as the human shuttle approached the flagship. "They can't possibly think we would negotiate with them." Supreme. Commander Zoltan wasn't so sure. In the past 3 weeks, humans had proven themselves unlike any species the hegemony had encountered before. Their ship was cleared for docking, though surrounded by armed guards. The Earth delegation stepped onto the alien vessel with calm confidence. Leading them was Dr. Maya Patel, a renowned diplomat known for resolving conflicts that had seemed impossible to solve. "We come with a proposition," Dr. Patel began, addressing Zoltan and the War Council directly. "One that could benefit both our worlds," General Vex scoffed. "What could you possibly offer us?" "Your world is at our mercy," Dr. Patel smiled. "Is it, though? Your first wave of attacks was repelled. Your psychological warfare failed. And we now understand enough about your technology to defend ourselves indefinitely." She opened a small box she had brought with her. Inside sat several small crystals, Zenithium in its purest form. "We know you need this," she said simply, "and we have the largest deposit in this sector of the galaxy." The alien leaders couldn't hide their shock. Humans not only knew about Zenithium, but understood its value to spacefaring civilizations. "Propose a trade agreement," Dr. Patel continued. "Earth will provide Zenithium in exchange for certain technologies and recognition as a free and equal member of the galactic community." For the first time in 10,000 years, the hegemony faced a planet offering partnership instead of demanding surrender. While the diplomats talked, Earth prepared a more unusual mission, one that only humans would have conceived. In a secret facility beneath the Australian outback, A team led by Dr. Jack Cooper was putting final touches on a device that looked like a cross between a teleporter and a pub. "Are you sure this will work?" asked General Martinez, who had flown in to observe the mission. Dr. Cooper grinned. "The theory is sound. Their shields block physical objects, but not the quantum displacement field we discovered. In simple terms, we can teleport the entire pub directly onto their flagship." The general looked skeptical. "And this helps us how exactly?" Dr. Cooper's smile widened. "Cultural exchange, General. We're going to introduce aliens to the concept of having a beer with your enemies before deciding whether to fight them." The pub, known as the Laughing Kookaburra, was a genuine Australian establishment. Its owner, Mick Donnelly, had volunteered it when he heard the plan. Now he stood behind his bar, polishing glasses as if preparing for a normal night. "Just another day at work," he said cheerfully. "Except today's customers are from outer space." Now, the hegemony flagship, the diplomatic talks were interrupted by alarms. Something was materializing directly in the central command deck, something the sensors couldn't identify. When the quantum field cleared, the aliens found themselves staring at a fully furnished Australian pub, complete with wooden bar, stools, dartboard, and a sign reading, "The Laughing Kookaburra." "G'day," said Mick from behind the bar. "First round's on the house." The alien security forces raised their weapons, but Zoltan held up his hand. "Wait, what is the meaning of this?" From the pub emerged not soldiers, but ordinary civilians. Besides Mick, there was Emma, the teenager whose toy discoveries had helped Earth's defense, Sarah Chen, the farmer who had adapted her tractor to disable alien ships, and a dozen others who represented not Earth's military might, but its creative spirit. "We thought it was time to meet face to face," Sarah said, "not as enemies, but as people trying to understand each other." Emma stepped forward fearlessly and offered a small device to Zoltan. "This is for you. It's a music player with songs from around our world. We noticed your ships respond to certain frequencies, so we thought you might enjoy actually listening to our music instead of just being disrupted by it." The aliens were completely bewildered. Their security protocols had no procedures for handling a sudden pub appearing in their command center, or for children offering gifts to enemy commanders. Mick placed glasses of amber liquid on the bar. "It's called beer. Been bringing people together on Earth for thousands of years. Even enemies can talk over a good beer." What happened next would become legendary throughout the galaxy. Instead of ordering the humans removed or killed, Zoltan, moved by curiosity that had been growing since first contact, approached the bar. "I would try this beer," he said cautiously. Within an hour, aliens and humans were sitting together, sharing drinks and stories. Emma taught young alien officers how to play darts. Sarah and Admiral Cruel discovered they both cultivated similar plants on their respective worlds. Mick found that several aliens had excellent singing voices once they relaxed. Security camera. Footage of Zoltan attempting to dance the Macarena, taught to him by Emma and her friends, was accidentally transmitted to both the hegemony fleet and Earth's defense network. The sight of the fearsome commander learning human dance moves with serious concentration broke the tension that had built over weeks of conflict. In the diplomatic chamber, Dr. Patel and her team watched the footage with amusement. "This is why we'll survive," she told the alien negotiator across from her. "Humans understand that sometimes the best way to resolve conflict is to remember that your opponents are people too, even if they're from another world." The negotiator, who had been rigid and formal throughout their talks, finally relaxed. "Your species is most unexpected. The hegemony has conquered worlds for 20,000 years, and never once did anyone invite us for beverages instead, Dr. Patel smiled. "That's humanity's secret weapon. Not our technology or our fighting spirit, but our ability to turn enemies into friends." As the impromptu party continued, Zoltan found himself in conversation with Emma, the young human whose innovations had caused his fleet so much trouble. "Why aren't you afraid of us?" he asked her. "We could destroy your cities." Emma considered the question seriously. "I guess because my whole life I've watched movies about alien invasions, and in the best stories, humans and aliens eventually learn from each other." I always hoped that's how it would really happen. Zoltan was silent, for a moment. In 20,000 years of conquest, the hegemony has never learned from those we invaded. Perhaps that was our mistake. As the unusual cultural exchange continued, both humans and aliens began to realize an important truth. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't defeating your enemy, but finding a way to make them no longer your enemy at all. And that was a lesson only humans, with their strange habit of laughing in the face of danger, could have taught the galaxy. 6 months after the hegemony's ships first darkened Earth's skies, everything had changed. The massive alien vessels still orbited the planet, but now they were there as partners, not conquerors. Supreme Commander Zoltan stood before the hegemony's Grand Council, the ruling body that had directed the conquest of 16,000 worlds. Behind him stood Dr. Maya Patel and a small delegation of humans invited to speak directly to the council, something no other species had ever done. Respected council members, Zoltan began, I come to propose a fundamental change in how the hegemony operates. Murmurs spread through the assembled alien dignitaries. Such words would have been considered treason just months ago. The Earth mission has revealed flaws in our approach, Zoltan continued. For 20,000 years we have conquered worlds, taken their resources and ruled them as subjects. We believed this was the only path to galactic order and progress. He gestured to the humans standing behind him. But Earth has shown us another way. Their resistance to our invasion was not just about technology or military strength. It was about ideas, about seeing the universe differently. The oldest council member, a being who had lived for over 5 centuries, leaned forward. What exactly are you proposing, Commander? Zoltan took a deep breath. I propose that the galactic hegemony become the Galactic Alliance, that we invite worlds to join as equals, not conquer them as subjects, that we share knowledge and resources rather than taking them by force. The council chamber erupted in shouts and arguments. Some called for Zoltan's immediate removal. Others demanded the humans be taken prisoner. But a surprising number of voices supported the idea. Dr. Patel stepped forward, unafraid despite being the first human to address the council. Esteemed members of the council, she said, her voice calm but strong enough to quiet the room. Earth does not ask for special treatment. We simply ask for the chance to show what happens when different worlds work together as partners. She activated a small device that projected images of the cooperative projects already underway between Earth and the hegemony fleet. In just 6 months, our combined research teams have made breakthroughs that neither civilization could have achieved alone. Human creativity combined with your advanced technology has solved problems both our worlds have struggled with for generations. The images showed new medical treatments, cleaner energy sources, and more efficient spacecraft designs. And zenithium, Dr. Patel continued. The mineral you came to take from us by force, we're now producing it more efficiently using a new process developed by both human and hegemony scientists working together. The council could not argue with the results. In half a year, the cooperation between Earth and the hegemony fleet had produced more scientific advancement than the hegemony had seen in centuries. Back on Earth, the changes were even more dramatic. Alien technology had helped solve some of humanity's most pressing problems. Clean energy now powered cities that once depended on fossil fuels. Medical treatments developed with alien assistance were curing diseases thought incurable. But the exchange wasn't one-sided. Humans had introduced the aliens to concepts that had never developed in the rigid hegemony culture: democracy, individual rights, art for art's sake, and perhaps most transformative of all, humor. The first interspecies comedy club had opened in New Delhi, where alien visitors attempted to understand the concept of jokes. Their early efforts were hilariously bad, which ironically made them successful comedians without intending to be. In schools around the world, children now took classes in alien languages while young aliens learned Earth's many tongues. Exchange programs allowed families from both civilizations to host visitors from the other. The change wasn't limited to Earth and the hegemony. Across the galaxy, worlds that had lived under hegemony rule for thousands of years heard about what happened on Earth, about the planet that laughed when ordered to yield, and then changed their conquerors through friendship rather than force. Inspired by Earth's example, planets began their own peaceful revolutions, not with weapons, but with ideas, with art and music, and increasingly with humor. On the planet Sorelia, which had been under hegemony control for 5,000 years, citizens organized what they called a laugh-in, gathering in public squares to tell jokes about their governors. The hegemony forces, trained to respond to violent uprisings, had no protocol for handling citizens who simply stood around laughing. Similar movements spread across the galaxy. Worlds began demanding the same relationship with the hegemony that Earth had established: partnership, not subjugation. 1 year after first contact, Earth officially joined the newly renamed Galactic Alliance as its 16,001st member world. The signing ceremony took place in a rebuilt United Nations chamber in New York, with representatives from hundreds of alien civilizations in attendance. Today marks not just a new chapter for Earth, Secretary General Okafor announced, but a new direction for the galaxy. Supreme Commander Zoltan, who had become Earth's strongest ally within the former hegemony, had been promoted to first ambassador of the Alliance. He had changed greatly from the stern military leader who had first demanded Earth's surrender. Now he smiled more, had developed a taste for Thai food, and had become surprisingly good at karaoke. "A year ago, I came to this planet with ships designed to inspire fear," Zoltan said in his address. "I expected submission. Instead, I found friendship. I found a species that, despite being technologically behind us, was far ahead in ways we had never considered important." As the formal ceremony concluded, an alien diplomat approached Earth's ambassador at the reception. "There's something I've been wanting to ask since this all began," the diplomat said. "Why did humans laugh when we threatened them with annihilation? Every other world we've encountered responded with fear." Ambassador Chen, who had once been a farmer in Nebraska before being chosen to represent Earth, smiled thoughtfully. "Throughout our history," she said, "anyone who's told humans we can't do something has only motivated us to prove them wrong. Your threats weren't intimidating, they were a challenge." She took a sip of her drink before continuing. "Besides, we've survived ourselves for thousands of years. Our own wars, our own cruelty, our own mistakes. After all that, you aliens never really stood a chance." The alien diplomat considered this. "Is that why your species has spread laughter across the galaxy? We never understood the purpose of humor before meeting humans." Ambassador Chen laughed. "Laughter is how we cope with a universe that's often scary and unpredictable. It's how we face our fears instead of being controlled by them. And it turns out that's something every species can learn." As if to prove her point, across the room, a group of humans and aliens had started an impromptu dance party. Species that had been mortal enemies just months before now moved awkwardly but joyfully to Earth music. The universe was changing, one laugh at a time. And it had all started because when aliens ordered Earth to yield, humans just laughed.